some of you do not know what Metaforsa is. So let's start with a small tour for what Metaforsa is for a few minutes, and then we will look at the real one, and we will connect the real one, and we will control something from something. Okay? So now let's switch to this option. So now you should see the screen. And we are now on our documents website. In the documents website at wiki.lanitech.com, what you can see is you can see some Metaforsas in the beginning. So you see here MF10, which is not anymore. It is being produced only for bigger projects, like from a few hundreds of apartments. Two of current Metaforsas are MFC14 and MF14. They are almost the same. They have some differences, but we will see today MFC14, but they are almost the same. So once we go inside, we see that Metaforsa is the controller like this one. And what we see here on the screen is we see the connector for the power. We see the CAN bus, Ethernet connection, inputs 12 and 12, and more inputs to the right. So these inputs are for on-off inputs, like sensors, like motion, not motion, water leakage, no water leakage, button pressed, button released, something like this. And this connector is for sensors, for temperature sensors connection. On the other side, it has outputs. We can see it on here. So we have 10 outputs for relays. Each relay is 16 amps. And we have 4 outputs for dimmers. And dimmers and relays, they are connected a little bit differently. So as for relays, you can connect something on input and something on output. And for dimmer, you will need to connect phase, neutral, and you will have 4 outputs at the same time. This is how they are different. And there is also the example of connection, like what can be connected. Actually, many things can be connected, but this is the example. Phase and neutral go here, and you can see the lamp, and neutral goes directly to the lamp. And phase goes from Metaforsa. So we need to bring this phase to Metaforsa and then get it from it. And here we could have some kind of circuit protection, circuit breaker or something like this. On the other side, we have almost the same, but also neutral coming to the device itself. And inputs, you can see here, we can have different kinds of sensors and switches. And here, digital sensors, and this temperature for some reason is in a different place. Okay, so this is it. Also on our website, if you go to lanitech.ae, you can go to articles, and one of the first articles is Metaforsa 2 with some instructions and a typical installation example. So here in UAE, we do not have this heating. We have Fancoil control instead. So Fancoils, you can connect the same to the same relays. And others are just lighting control, dimming light, motion sensors, open-close sensors for doors and windows, temperature sensors, and water leakage sensors. Okay, so this is all that you can connect, and you can see on our website, and then you can see what was the box is now a little bit different, but previously it was like this. You can see here the controller itself, the power supply, some types of sensors, water leakage here, open close here, motion here, and temperature is I see them here. So what you can see here is you can see how this is being connected and so on. So I will not go on this one. I will just switch to another view when we can have two screens like this. So I hope you can see it well. I will remove this keyboard because we do not need it. And I will bring the box with Metaforsa into here. Can you see it well? So I will make it a little bit bigger like this. Can you see it now? This is first time we use this kind of setup, so if you can see it well, please write about this in the chat. If you do not see anything or you need to have it bigger or something like this. So what we will try to do today, we will try to connect something. We will have two lamps. One of them will be a little bit dimmable. Actually, both of them are not dimmable, but one of them is dimming okay, so I will just show it as an example of dimmable. Another one is not dimmable, it will be on-off. And we will have a touch screen. This one is actually the new 10-inch touch screen, which I will use to show you how it is being controlled. Okay? So if you can see everything well, then let's start. So inside Metaforsa, this one I already opened. I took the power supply from here and I took some of the sensors from the bags. So I will show you. We have open-close sensors. So you install them on doors and windows. We will need just one. We will use this one. We also have temperature sensors, 4 pieces like this. They are small because you can put them actually anywhere. You can put them, for example, on the air intake for the Fancoil control, or you can put them behind the switch. So we will have today this kind of switch, and behind the switch it is possible to install it, so you will get the temperature from this from the air. And then this one, MSD motion sensor, we will also connect it. Okay, and this one is water leakage sensor. It works pretty much as others, so I will not connect it today because it will maybe take too long time to connect everything, but it connects pretty much the same as all others. Okay, also we have the power connector cable, which goes for the power supply, which I already have, so I will not use this one. And we also have the controller itself. And the controller itself has inputs and outputs. Okay, so I remove the box and we will connect something. So first we need to check if this is actually working. So to check if it is working, I will need the touch screen and the Metaforsa connected to the network. Okay, so what I have here is I have the network cable and DIN rail. So Metaforsa is installed on DIN rail into the DB. So Metaforsa is on a DIN rail right now. And this cable gives me the connection to the network. Okay, and now I need also power. The power I have in here the power supply, also for DIN rail. So we install it here and we connect 24 volts to the Metaforsa itself. So once we connect it, we have something blinking, something turning on, and all of this is turning on. So Metaforsa, if you have .cloud, it means that it will still work offline if you don't have internet and everything, but you have to set it up through the cloud. And some of the advanced features, they will work through the cloud itself. So right now it is being connected. This some red blinks you can see. It means that it has no power for the dimmer. So right now we will be able to control it somehow. How can we see if it is online? We need to have the panel, touch panel. So the touch panel will be connected to PoE. We have here also the PoE cable. I'm sorry, my light cable is off. So now light is on. Not everything is prepared. So this cable is PoE, and this cable goes connecting. This one will be the stand. Now we connect the panel, and panel is turning on. So, well, panel is turning on. It will take a few seconds. I will show you what we will connect to inputs and outputs. So to inputs we will connect sensors and the switch. And to outputs we will connect the lamp 1 and lamp 2. So now I remove it from the view. So what we see now on a panel, that it is already connected, and it says leakage sensor error, because water leakage sensors, they are constantly being monitored, and if they are not online, you can instantly see it, and you will receive the notification about this. So you can clear it, and now just control something. Dimmers being controlled and blinds being controlled. And in sensors we see motion sensors. They show 100 because they are not connected, and they show some malfunction for water leakage, and they show door connector, door monitoring sensors as open. Okay, so actually that's it. It is enough. Now we understand that it works. Now we turn it off, and we will connect first lamp. The first lamp will be this one, which will go on off. The lamp is having neutral, the blue one, and the brown one, phase and neutral. Okay, So we will need to connect neutral to neutral directly, and we have the neutral directly in here. So we have some cables already prepared. And we have some Vago connectors. So this one is neutral with blue, and this one is phase with brown. So we connect neutral directly to neutral, like this. And we will get the phase from the Metaforsa. So I will need a screwdriver. This type of screwdriver will be okay, like the most simple. So we will just put Metaforsa like this and see that output is open. So I get the power from here. So it is now connected. But we also need to bring the power to the Metaforsa. So to bring the power to the first input, we will need to take it from the circuit breaker. So we have it in here, in this one. So now when we turn it on, we will be able to control it from the touch screen directly and immediately. Let's see. So network, power, I also can check with this screwdriver if we really have the phase in here. Yes, we really do. So phase is now coming to Metaforsa, but lamp is off. And wires are too long. Okay, now I turn on the Metaforsa and wait. So here we'll look and see connection failed, connecting to server. Now it's on. Now it's connected. And now this button, lamp 1, should turn on our light. Okay? So it is working. This is what we needed to do. Next one will be, yes, water leakage sensors again. I will show you a bit later how to set up and to remove them from that. So the next part, what we connect is we connect another lamp which will be dimming. So we will connect it to the dimmer. We will have quite a mess with the cables in here, so please excuse me for this one, because this is what we need to do when we show something and connect it in real time. Because otherwise we will need like a lot of things to be set up before. So I turn off the power. Now I need to connect power for input. So here it is, this one, the brown one. I turn off Metaforsa. And get power and neutral connected. So power goes here, the same as input for the relay. And we will need also neutral. And we have it in this cable. So the blue cable will be neutral. And dimmer needs neutral for the input. because otherwise it will not get the phase to dim. So it will not understand how to dim it. Okay? And now we have the lamp, which we should also connect to the output. So the phase goes into the first output. Okay, and neutral should go directly to the neutral. So this blue from the lamp, from this lamp, should go directly to neutral, not to our device. So we have here the connection. This is it. So this is quite a mess with the cables, but we have everything connected for the output. So again, we have power phase connected for relay, and we have phase connected to dimmer, and we have neutral connected to dimmer, and this is it. So let's see how it works. So I connect the network, I connect the power. So first, not working because the power in for the lamps, it is off. Now I turn it on and it starts working immediately. And now I want to dim this lamp, and this dimmer will give me the dimming for this lamp. But as I told you, this lamp is not dimmable, so I can see that up to some percentage, for example, up to, I think up to maybe 27 or 30%, it does nothing. So here it does nothing. Then it is dimming, and then starting from maybe 65 or 70, it also does nothing. So because it is on top, like it is on full brightness. Okay, so I can turn on, off. But for this dimming, I can cut this part and cut this part. So the dimming from 0 to 100 will be like fully dimmable. But I will show you this in settings a little bit later. Okay, so let's move it a little bit over here. Like this. Okay, so now let's move to inputs. And we will have the first input as a switch. So this is low voltage switch. What we have here is connection. So two buttons connecting button common, button 1, button 2. So we need 3 wires connected to here. So let's start from this one. I get this Cat6 cable, and from both sides I have 3 wires. I have blue, white, blue and orange from both sides. So common will be blue, white. Let me get the screwdriver less now. Smaller one. So the smaller screwdriver gives me this. So the first button will be connected to the blue one, and the second one will be connected to the orange one. So we will deal with this water leakage later. So now blue one, and now orange one. So now we have all three connected, and we need to connect another side, this side which goes to Metaforsa. And if you look at Metaforsa beta, you will see that it has first 12 set up by default as switches, and second 12 set up by default as these sensors like 6 motion and 6 open close. So I will connect to first 12, and it will become the switch by default, the push button. So I need this Phoenix connector for it from Metaforsa box. And this Phoenix connector I connect minus to the common. So minus I have in here on the right side. So those two are minuses. So I can do it with a screwdriver, or I can do it with my nail. Okay. Minus is now connected, and the first button will be blue. So I press on this one and just insert it inside. And second button will be orange. So now when the button is connected, we connect minus to 1 or minus to 2. This is what we needed to do. So that's it. Now I connect the switch, and I connect these to Metaforsa. This is it. So now from one button I want to control this lamp. From another button I want to dim this lamp. Let's see how it goes. So I go to edit mode, and this lamp I long press edit and go to switch part. So we have name, I can change name, voice control, room, everything, but I go to switch part. I press the button and I see that switch 1 is pressed. I get bind, save. Now this button controls this lamp, and it will not skip. For example, if I turn on from here, turn off from here, it will turn on now, so it will not skip the press. And another one I want to dim, so I go edit item. I am already in the switch because on previous one I was in the switch part. So what we do is we continue, we press the second button, we see this button on the screen, we bind it, we save it, and now this button should control the dimmer. And dimmer goes down, dimmer goes up if I long press. This is it. So now we control both switches. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Amjad. I see that only you comment me, others do not, for some reason. Okay, so we now connected 2 buttons, we connected 2 lamps. Now let's connect something else. Let's connect the temperature sensor. So we will look what temperature do we have. So now we do not have the temperature in here at all. But let's see what happens once we get this sensor connected. So the orange one is the plus. So we connect it to the plus part. And the green one is minus. And the orange-white is data. So if you have questions like, how do I understand that this plus, this minus, this data, what you need to do is you need to go to the wiki. You need to go to sensors part and find this sensor which you connect. And you will see here that orange is plus, green one is minus and COM, and data is orange white. Okay, so you find it here. Now let's connect to the Metaforsa. And watch here, it is now instantly in here. So we have 26.8 degrees in here right now. So what we can do is we can long press, we can see minute, and we can see the graph, how this works. If we don't want the graph to be this big, we can make it smaller. So I just try to heat it up, and it immediately goes up. So it's very fast. Now let's see what happens if I connect the second one. So we have the second temperature sensor. We connect to the same inputs, or we can connect them in daisy chain, by the way. So daisy chain is already also working for temperature sensors. Okay, so now we have two temperature sensors. We connect. The first one is removed, but now both are here. And we can see that both of them are working with same speed. Okay, so very fast temperature sensors. Now we also can connect a motion sensor. So I now know that motion are connected to 13, 14 and 15 by default. So what we have here is we connect plus to the red one. See here, red goes more to plus. And minus the black one. And data goes here. The data is white. But I will tell you that it will not work well at first because this sensor is inversed. This sensor is inversed motion sensor. So once I connect it, you will see that we will have some data in here. So, but every time I move, it will start blinking. So it is okay for some reasons. But when I don't move, like I close like this and no motion at all, it shows 100%, which is not right. because this one is inversed and the software one is not inversed. So let's go and see how we change it. Now we need to have some more functions which are set up online. So I go to the desktop back and I will show you how to connect this. So we have here the login and password for you, and this one is mine. So I go in and I go to servers part. And I need to understand like what kind of serial number, here serial number, I have with this Metaforsa. I go on a screen, settings, and I look here. And here I see the serial number. It's 8F1. So I see here 8F1, or I can use filter. So I see it is now connected, so I double click and I open it. So again, it is here 8F1. Let's make it a bit bigger. 8F1. And when I double click, I see this. This is called LTSetup. So I can set up many things. You have seen this probably in the training, but I now can go to modules part, and I have only one module connected, MFC 14A. And I want to change inputs, outputs. So for this one, we have this button named Update Hardware, Update HW. So I press on this one. I see outputs on left and inputs on right. And first 12 inputs are buttons by default, but inputs can be button, inverted button, switch, contact, inverse contact, leak detector, third-party sensor, motion sensor, inverted motion sensor. So output can be lamps, blinds, valves, gates, fan coils, and so on. So what we do now is we have this motion sensor connected to channel number 13, and we need to make it inverted because I know that this model is inverted. And leak detectors, which we do not need now, I go to not used, not used, not used. Okay, so I have inverted motion sensor, and everything which I don't use except of contacts, I just make not used, or I can make them button as well. So I save. I switch to our camera again. And you see now, we don't have the sensors which we don't need. Now we see this motion. If I close it, I have no motion. So once I open it, I have motion, stop, something like this. So now this motion is working. Now let's make this motion set up to turn on this light. I go edit mode, edit item, and I need not switch, not schedule, not general, I need auto. So this is automation part. In automation, we have first this option to disable automation if client controls from the screen. So I will just remove it. So it will become 0. And we have here some options for turning on and turning off in different circumstances. So we need option number 2 to turn on with motion. Also illumination you can add here. And option number 4 to turn off. Both of these options they require, so I go in and set up what kind of sensor do we use. So I go in, I select our sensor. We have only one sensor. We can change its name if we have many. But if we just put them in different rooms, you will see only sensors from these rooms unless you showed this all sensors. So if motion level is more than 30%, but here we don't have 30%, we have motion, not motion, this is simple sensor. And minimum interval. So this is set up now. So I selected sensor, I selected interval. Now I go back, I press on turn off, I select the sensor and I select the timer. So if it is for 5 seconds less than 15%, then it will turn off. So this is it. We set up the sensor with the lamp. Now, once this A is working, I have no motion for 5 seconds, it should turn off. Okay, now I have motion again, it immediately turns on. So quite a lot of automations like this are possible. So I will just remove it now, so it does not turn on our lamp when not needed. And I actually showed you almost everything. I can also show you for example, the Fancoil. Okay, let's have the Fancoil in here. We have here some valves right now, but we will finish with the Fancoil settings. So let's move to the screen again. We go to update hardware. And if we want to connect Fancoil, we use not valves, we use Fancoil group. So Fancoil group means different Fancoils. So for example, Fancoil group 1 will be the speed of fan for Fancoil number 1. And one valve and another valve I will leave to have the water in. So we will have 2 speeds, or maybe, okay, 3 speeds. And the lock, okay. So we will try also to see what lock is in here. So I save. Now it will change. Now it shows me 1 Fancoil and 2 radiators, which I do not need, so I can hide it. Yes, and no one told me that I show you how to set up Fancoil on a screen, but my camera is wrong. Sorry guys. So here I have the Fancoil, which is already set up, and the automation. Here we can select cool. Okay, so we have now this lock. I also promised to show you how to set up the dimmer brightness. So we want the brightness to be between 20 and 70. Okay, so let's see how we do it. We go here again, update HW. This is our dimmer, and we can set up minimum, which will be 20, 22, okay, and maximum, which will be 70, or maybe 71. We can also have other functions for the dimmer channel, but we will not go inside deeper for this one. So once I save it, we double click and we see now that even minimum, you see 0%, it is already on. And then more and more and more and more. So until 100% it changes. So now this change is full. Possible for this actually non-dimmable lamp. So we were just lucky to have this lamp dimming. And the switch will also give us this dimming. So it goes down fully and fully goes up. Okay. The last thing which I will show you today is what we do if we want more devices. So for example, we don't have enough devices in here. We want like this one RGB, this one relay. Relay 2 channels, RGB 3 channels. So we want to connect them to the Metaforsa. What will happen? We have here the bus, and we connect the bus to Metaforsa. And now we connect RGB. And here we connect relay. We have the RGB already. And we have 2 relays already in here. Okay. So when we refresh our LTSetup, we will have this RGB and this relay already available. So we can see what we can do with inputs here, the same actually as before, and with outputs actually the same as before. So you can also have here low current blinds, and in Metaforsa we don't have this option, so we don't need it, but here we do. So we can have first input for the temperature sensor for the small device, and this one. So we have another temperature sensor in here, and we have the ground, I think, going to minus, and channel 1. So plus and minus we have to this one, sorry, 2 cameras again. So now I connected this sensor to this input, and now we can see it in here. Okay, so we have now 3 temperature sensors, 2 in here and 1 here, and they all are working quite fast. Okay, so I think this is all I wanted to show you today. See you next week. Bye bye. Have a good Saturday.